but the pigeon version because pigeons are stupid.
Oh my god. Okay, let's do the intro so I can complain, because I need to complain so bad.
Yes. Okay. Hi, guys. You're listening to The Triad, where we're spooky but sensitive. I am Shelby.
I'm Hannah. Wait, is that the order?
Yes!
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm Shannon. I thought you forgot your name. I'm Shannon.
No,
Hello,
I didn't-
everybody.
I didn't forget my name. I said my name, and then I was like, oh no, is that the order?
Yes, that was the order.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Announcements, Shannon, go.
Okay, so I don't know what god I pissed off for the past 2 days. Okay, so yesterday, Shelby got off work at like 9 or 10 in the morning. And so we were like, okay, we both need to go to Walgreens, so we'll go to Walgreens, and then we'll go to that bakery that we like and get some food. Cool. Simple, right? Nope. We tried to take my car, it wouldn't start, because it's disgustingly cold out. So we were like, okay, we will add getting jumper cables to the list of things to do today, because neither of us had any jumper cables. So we go to Walgreens, and we go inside, because we both have prescriptions to pick up. Turns out my Walgreens app filled my prescription at the wrong Walgreens. So I was like, cool, that's great. And then with Shelby's, there's just also a problem with Shelby's. So we were at Walgreens for probably 20 or 25 minutes.
Yeah, they told me my prescriptions were going to be $450, and
Yeah.
I'm not here for that. So
Yeah, and then one she submitted 2 days earlier had not been filled yet. So then we had to wait for that one to get filled, the one that wasn't $450.
yeah.
What else happened yesterday? I'm sure something else happened, but I can't remember. So then
Let's see. We got the jumper cables.
we got the jumper cables, we got home, and we
I
decided-
think yesterday was okay.
yeah, we decided not to jump the car yesterday because we were tired and it was really fucking cold. So then today, Shelby was off work, and I technically did work today. I just worked from home, and I had a break from noon to 1. So I was like, okay, cool. The plan is shower, work, jump car at noon, right? No, because this morning I got a medical bill from my psychiatrist, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I need to pay that. I looked, it was over $500, and I was like, no. So then I looked at it, and it hadn't gone through my insurance at all, so I was paying full price. And I was like, okay, that's wrong. So I just sent them a quick message being like, what's going on? And they got back to me almost immediately and was like, your insurance lapsed. I never updated my insurance with them, apparently. I thought I had. I didn't. So then they were like, we need a copy of the front and back of your insurance card. And I was like, cool. We only have digital ID insurance cards for some reason. And so I get them from my insurer's website. I only have a screenshot saved on my phone of the front of the card. I don't have one of the back. So I was like, okay, I'll go onto the website and get the back of the card. Also, no, because I am on student health insurance, and for some goddamn reason, my school does it by semester and not by year. And because we are currently in the enrollment period, I cannot get my insurance card, even though I have a year-long policy. So I can't do that, even though one of the bills is over 3 months old, and I'm very concerned that they're going to put it into collections before I get a chance to get my ID card. So there was that. So then, whatever, I got through the morning, like I didn't have any huge other problems other than that. I did pay another bill, so that was all good. I got that taken care of. I had a meeting with my supervisor on Zoom. That was great too. She gave me some projects that I think look fun. And then we went to jump my car, and it just wouldn't start. Like, we tried to put the little prongs in different places on my car. Like, we let it sit for 10 minutes before trying to start it. Like, it just wouldn't start. And so we were like, okay. And it's like 12 degrees outside. It's disgustingly cold. So then I don't have AAA anymore, but Shelby does. And apparently you could use AAA on any car you have ever looked at. So we went to get lunch, and while we were in the drive-thru, I called a couple of like car repair shops around here And then we went online for AAA and got a tow. So, like, we got my car taken care of.
Line for the drive-thru for like 30 minutes.
It took so long.
People would not move forward in the line.
They would not drive.
Like, they were literally leaving like 4 car spaces for no reason.
Yeah. So then my car is currently in the shop. They said it should be done tomorrow, but I probably won't be able to pick it up until Monday because Shelby's working while they're open tomorrow, basically, and it's not like I'm going to fucking walk there. And then we got that taken care of. So that's good. And then, through no fault of her own, Shelby wasn't able to finish her notes today in time for me to fix her computer because there have been audio problems, so there's probably still going to be audio problems. And then, right before we started recording, I was getting all my stuff set up on my desk, and I saw a stink bug in the plant on my desk. And I was like, no, you cannot be there. I don't want you chewing up my plant. So I went to open the window in front of my desk and knocked over a half-full large thing of latte. So now there's coffee everywhere.
You forgot that when we were driving back from getting lunch.
Yeah.
We decided to go to the other Walgreens that her prescriptions had been filled at, which is not the correct Walgreens. So we were like, well, we're already out. Let's just stop by there, pick them up. We got there and they were on their lunch break and like had just left. So they were going to be gone for like another half hour.
Yeah.
So it's been a fun time.
Great.
I don't know who I pissed off on Wednesday for this to be happening. But it's just like, I had to make so many phone calls and send so many emails and do so many like adulty things. And that was before my car officially would not start. Just...
Yeah. And, yeah. I would have had my notes done in time for her to look at my computer, but then I got very distracted because my announcement is that my old youth pastor from when I lived in Georgia in high school got dismissed from the church that we used to go to for sexual abuse allegations. And I am friends with him on Facebook, and so he put up a post where he, like, named the actual victim and was like, this is a lie, and it's not true, and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, no.
And then all the comments under it are so disgusting. Like, obviously, I don't know the truth, and, like, I'm not gonna say one way or the other because I don't know. However, I also read, because he named her, I read the girl's post about all of it, and all of the behaviors that she said that he
exhibited
towards her, and like the grooming and all of that are things that, like, I'm not gonna say I explicitly saw, but there were signs and like vibes, and I wouldn't be surprised, sort of thing. So but like all the comments under his post were like, the devil is with her, and like, we're praying for her, and blah blah blah.
Oh,
and
God,
I was like,
you guys are Baptist.
The fuck. Yeah, and it was all like, you've done so much for this church, and it's disgusting that they would dismiss you over a lie like this. And I was like, but is it a lie? Because she has 11 witnesses. So anyway.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So I went down a rabbit hole of rage and fury over that.
And then she also had to drive me to get lunch and help me start my car, so that did not help.
There's that. Yeah.
With the timing issue, which I very greatly appreciate. Thank you. And then she cleaned up the coffee for me while I threw the bug out the window.
Yes.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
I'm so tired. Like, I didn't even do anything. Like,
it's been such a 48 hours.
It has. It's been a 48 hours. Like, I can't even say it's been a day, because it's been multiple days.
It's been 2 days.
Yeah, it's been 2 days, and I'm so tired.
Anyway, Hannah, how are you?
I actually had a really great Friday.
That's good. Somebody had to.
I'm gonna say, never mind. My kid at school he had such a good day after having a couple of really hard days, and like today was so awesome. And he's nonverbal, but he was like verbally requesting things,
Oh.
Tickles, to be specific. It was so
Still,
cute.
like,
Yeah.
Oh my
good.
god. No, I know.
Progress.
It was so cute. It was tickles. Oh my god. Freaking, I couldn't even. He's so adorable.
Good.
that's good.
Anyway,
I'm
it
glad.
just really made my week was
Especially
kind of stressful because I had a lot
we're
of
kind of like
things.
ripping you and ourselves to shreds in the group chat this morning,
Oh yeah.
which was a fun time.
Well,
but
it wasn't my fault. It was just because
Those
that
were
was such
stupid questions.
So I was applying for a job, and there was this part in the application that you couldn't skip, and it was called skills. But if you click the drop down menu, the only quote unquote skill was that you were like already it. What did I tell you guys? It said it was like
you
University faculty
already
contract.
had a
yeah,
like a faculty
university
contract.
faculty contract.
That's
And
apparently a skill. Is contract.
I was like, that's not a skill. That's like a piece of paper.
Right?
Yeah.
That is a legally
And so then I
binding
didn't know what to
document.
put for it. Yeah, because I couldn't skip it, so I just
Yeah.
put online teaching and ran away from the question.
Right?
Because I really didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then I was like, should I say that I'm Catholic because it was a Catholic school? And then I just was
And then we were just listing off skills
Shredded.
like Catholic guilt,
crushing guilt.
crushing guilt.
To be fair, you were the one who brought up crushing guilt.
I know, but
It is a
Wrong.
skill.
No, I'm not
it's
saying
a
that
skill
you're
that
wrong.
I have. That thing that Jasmine said about the
Overthinking to the point where you don't do things.
No. Taking a 4-hour nap
Oh.
and your laundry's been sitting. My laundry's been sitting in
Yeah,
my
taking a
dryer for
4-hour
like
nap
2 or 3
instead
weeks.
of folding the laundry that's
Folding
been in there
laundry.
for a week.
Oh yeah, my laundry's been in the dryer for 2 days because so much shit has been happening that I keep forgetting to do my laundry. On the plus side, I had 2 of my 3 classes this week because the other one's on Monday. We didn't have class Monday because it was MLK Day. And I like them so much more already than my 2 intro classes. Like, my assignments seem like they're going to be actually, like, useful and not meant for high schoolers. Which is nice.
Those, like, grad school introductory courses are so weird because they're hit or miss. It's either, like, so hard that it, like, crushes you and you're like, I'm gonna drop out of school, or they're so easy that you're like, am I doing something wrong?
Yeah. Well, because the one was so easy that, like, literally they were assignments, like, high schoolers should know how to do them, you know, or at least seniors should know how to do
because
them.
you were telling me some of the things that they had to do, and I expect more from my first year composition students than
I
what
know.
that professor was.
So there was that. And then for the other class, the professor was just so... She kept, like, changing shit, like, in the middle of the semester, and she just wasn't clear on what she wanted, and then we had to do weekly fucking discussion posts, which I did not
I
do.
hate
And
discussion boards. Discussion boards can
bullshit.
burn in hell.
Yep.
Yeah. But, like, with these 2 classes, we kind of have to do discussion boards, but they're actually, like, each one is actually graded, and they're part of, like, a larger thing. They're not just this is what I got out of class this week. They're actual, like, reading discussions, which I am much more okay with. And then for the other class, I don't think we had discussion boards, which actually, one of the classes I actively chose because I was choosing between it and another class, and they both had the syllabi online, and I checked the other class, and they had weekly discussion posts, and this one didn't, so I signed up for this one.
I mean, that's what I would have done.
Because I didn't want to do discussion posts. Oh, man, yeah, so I've just been having a week.
Why did, like, all professors at some point back in, like, I don't know, 2011 decide, you know what the best way to get students to, I don't even know, participate is have them do a discussion board, which brings no value to the conversation because all they do is copy off the kid who wrote the longest post.
Yeah.
And just say, yeah, I agree with so-and-so because blah, 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 blah. That's what I did.
Oh, 100%.
I have 2 master's degrees thanks to that shit because
Right?
it's not useful. I don't even want to get
Right?
into it.
Like, all it
Yeah.
is one kid does the reading and then everyone else is like, yeah, totally, what he said.
Yeah.
I will say one thing though, and you guys, you can interpret this how you will. We had to have discussion boards for sign language.
Okay.
There aren't readings.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you
There
So,
aren't.
have a
what
discussion?
It was
What
for
would you
ASL. It was for ASL 4 or 5, I don't remember.
So,
but it was like, yeah, so exactly. What were we supposed to do?
Like, I guess, I mean, if it was, like, about, like, the
if
deaf
it was a video, like, if you
or
recorded yourself
something like
saying
that would make
something,
sense,
sure,
but
maybe.
Yeah,
But no, it was just,
That's
like,
really weird.
it was so stupid.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of them. I got a D in that class, and I'm not ashamed of it.
I mean, hey.
Yeah, the one class that we have to do discussion boards, we're only doing them for the first half of the semester. And basically the way it works is each week she assigned like 3 or 4 people. You have to pick a news article from the previous week, and it's for my academic librarianship class, so it has to be from these specific like higher education website things. You pick one, post about it with a couple of like questions, and the people have to respond. Like, that's it. And then you're like facilitating the discussion. But like, you don't have to reply to every single person's. You just have to, and like, if you're not like leading that week, you just pick one of them.
Oh, I do like when you get to lead the week for the week, because you get to lead
like
the
that's a much better like format for a weekly discussion, because like that I would be much more willing to do, because I'm like getting something out of it. But when it's
instead of summarize the reading and tell me one thing you learned.
It's not like that. Yeah, it's not like that at all. It's an actual like discussion.
I can literally just be like, I learned it. What do you want from me?
Yeah, and like even with this, like this isn't something that we're learning in class. They're just random news articles that we thought were interesting.
Yeah,
basically. So. I mean, not really random, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And we're only, like I said, we're only doing that for the first half of the semester. So, and they're each worth like a certain amount of points. It's not like just a tiny percentage of the participation
rate.
Yeah,
because when it's like all of the discussion posts total for the entire semester equal 0.2% of your grade, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. I just don't. That's why I got an A- in one of my intro classes last semester, because even though I talked in every single goddamn class, I didn't do the discussion posts. So I didn't participate, apparently. Even though I talked in every single fucking class. Anyway, we have been ranting for about 20 minutes.
We are at 17
so if
and
we're
a half,
all good,
so let's
get
on with this.
Sorry, a lot happened in the past couple of days.
Yes.
Oh, one last thing, and I'm just going to leave it very vague because you guys know what happened. I had to call the police on Saturday. The end. Let's move on.
Yeah. I forgot about that. God, just so much other shit has happened.
But now that you say that, I'm angry all over again.
I know.
God. I'm so mad.
I didn't mean to forget about it, but then so much other shit has happened.
I only just remembered it.
Oh my God.
That felt like so long ago.
The police had to search my house. Anyway, it's fine.
Yeah.
Let's go on.
Oh my God. Okay.
Shelby, what the frick are we talking about?
It's in her research folder, and I already know because I helped her pick
it. Or it's in the episode 82 folder, whichever one you would like.
Ooh. Oh my God. I'm so tired.
82.
Oh, I did have another good thing, real quick, because I just thought about it. Because I was like, okay, we went grocery shopping the other day, and I finally found the good pierogi that I used to buy.
She got so excited, she stopped breathing. She literally...
I gasped, and I gasped so hard I choked.
She literally choked and, like, could not catch her breath for, like, a good minute. And I was like, are you gonna die over pierogi?
In the deli section at Schnucks. But I was just like, I can have pierogi for dinner. That'll make me feel better.
Chicago really turned you into a Pole.
It did.
It really did. I'm not even remotely Polish, but good God, I love pierogi.
Okay. So good. All right.
Not remotely Polish.
I'm not.
I know, but I don't. Just the phrasing of that really cracked me up.
I'm sorry. I'm so over this week.
Yeah, it could be over.
I'm so tired.
Anytime.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Do we actually have any more tangents?
Well, yeah, but we haven't started.
Right, and I already put in a specific slide in here specifically for Shannon to rant. So here we go.
Okay.
Great. Yep. Today we are going to be talking about superstitions, and basically like the origins of them. And obviously, I am not going to be talking about every superstition on the planet because there are a fuck ton. And
I do a lot of these, like.
Yeah. Oh.
The salt one.
Oh yeah. Like there's a lot of these things that like the little like superstitious like rituals that like all do. But yeah, on my title slide it just says just humans being humans. If you would like to go to slide 2. So, superstitions are defined as like a widely held but unjustified belief in supernatural causation leading to certain consequences of an action or event or a practice based on such a belief. So basically, you think something is going to happen because you perform this act. So common ones are like throwing salt over your shoulder, like you think that will like dispel bad luck, stuff like that. And again, these are unscientific, they are unjustified, like unfounded beliefs, but they are commonly held by a lot of people.
Wait, you mean the devil isn't going to get me if I don't throw salt over my left shoulder?
What?
Anytime I spill it?
Oh, yeah.
I said, wait, so you mean the devil isn't going... Okay, yeah.
Yeah. The devil... Well, you never know. Have you ever not thrown salt over your left shoulder when you spill it? So, like...
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
The devil could
Burden
be
of proof.
coming for you.
Let's go. Bring it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, like, superstitions have many different origins. Obviously, because different countries have them, different cultures have them, and they have, like, different superstitions. And so, like, the origins of many of them come from many different places. And then even like the superstitions that have like made their way into like modern society, the origins of those tend to be disputed because there's not really a way to trace where they came from. Like some of them we have an idea, and some of them like that aren't super old we can figure out. But for the most part, there's like we have ideas of where they came from, but it's it's just weird quirky human behavior that we do, so we can't definitively be like, well, we do this because of this, like, yeah. And then there's also like regional and cultural differences, like I said before, which you can kind of see in that like 13 is an unlucky number in Western cultures, like in the United States. But in some Eastern countries, like Japan and China, 4 is considered an unlucky number, and they don't care about 13 at all. And again, those have, like, roots in different places as to why those numbers are considered unlucky. And then, so today we will be talking about multiple different superstitious beliefs and the possible origins of them. Slide 3. But first, we're going to talk about B.F. Skinner and this dumbass study he did. Because...
That's who you were complaining about
yes.
earlier? Dude, B.F. Skinner's a dumbass.
So dumb.
What was I just... Oh, there's this episode of Behind the Bastards. I know I talk about this podcast a lot, but I really like it. There's an episode, it's a 2-parter about the Judge Rotenberg School, which was a school for children with autism and other disabilities. And they talk about how much of a dumbass B.F. Skinner is.
Yes.
So, I just looked him up. I mean, are you going to get into B.F. Skinner? Because I don't want to step all over your notes.
Not a ton, just kind of like what he did. And then mostly it's about this particular study. So.
Okay. Yeah, just because he just had really weird ideas about like free will and behavior reinforcement and all that nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, he was a behavioral psychologist, and in like the 1930s and 40s, so again, psychology was not a very well-developed field at the time, and so like I get it, but he was fucking stupid.
Still going off of Freud at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't think that we had free will and that we were basically robots that you could just input behavioral stimuli into, and that we could all be like perfect.
Yeah, and
acting.
And it's again, like, he's in a fairly new field, like not a lot of research and definitely not good research, and so I get it. But so he was a behavioral psychologist and social philosopher. He founded a school of experimental research psychology, and he was especially known for his investigations in how certain behaviors can be reinforced by conditioning stimuli. He is, like, considered a pioneer of modern behaviorism, and he did do a lot of research that did progress the field. I've said this in other episodes, like the one on, like, the monster study. Like, old science can't be completely discounted for what it did, but that doesn't mean it was good science. Like, progressing a field from nothing, obviously it's not going to be good. But we can't take the things that these researchers and, like, the findings of these studies as, like, law, because it's not. It's really not. So saying that you were, like, a pioneer of a field, like, yes, that's, like, a lofty title, but you also have to, like, think about it in context of being like, yeah, he did a lot for the field, but he was also fucking stupid. So, not necessarily of any fault of his own.
He also thought that we were all robots.
So, again, not necessarily of any fault of his own, but, again, take it with a grain of salt. Throw it over your left shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right in the devil's eye.
Yes. So in 1947, B.F. Skinner, he published research on the behavior of pigeons in which he observed what he termed superstitious behavior. So the group of pigeons were kept hungry for the purpose of the experiment, and they were fed small amounts of food at regular intervals, which were unrelated to the pigeon's behavior. So it's not like Pavlov's dog. It wasn't like their behavior did not determine whether they got the food. The gate opened like every 20 minutes so they could get the food. But by the end of the study, 3/4 of the group of hungry pigeons had developed what he called, quote unquote, superstitious behaviors. One pigeon practiced turning clockwise several times, apparently expecting the appearance of food if they performed that ritual. And then other birds developed specific head movements. There was one that had like a specific sound that it would make, one that like flapped its wings. So it's kind of like conditioning in that way. But the pigeon version, because pigeons are stupid. Not stupid, they just don't have the brain of, say, a dog. So, but anyway, so Skinner suggested that the pigeons believed that they were influencing the automatic mechanism with their rituals, and that the experiment shed light on human behavior. Did it? Yeah. Okay, so this is a quote. The experiment might be said to demonstrate a sort of superstition. The bird behaves as if there were a causal relation between its behavior and the presentation of food, although such a relation is lacking. There are many analogies in human behavior. Rituals for changing one's fortune at cards are good examples. A few accidental connections between a ritual and favorable consequences suffice to set up and maintain the behavior in spite of many unreinforced instances. The bowler who has released a ball down the alley but continues to behave as if she were controlling it by twisting and turning her arm and shoulder is another case in point. These behaviors have, of course, no real effect upon one's luck or upon a ball halfway down an alley, just as in the present case the food would appear as often if the pigeon did nothing, or, more strictly speaking, did something else.
That example of a bowler, small tangent, it just, or of like bowling, just reminded me that when we would play Mario Kart with my mom, like the 3 times we were able to convince her to do it, or no, it wasn't that, it was, what was it? No, it wasn't Mario Kart, because we had that on the Wii. It was some game, we had a Super Nintendo, which just has like the little bitty like handheld controller, right, that's wired to the thing.
Yeah.
She would turn it as if, like, that had anything to do with the direction that the person was going.
Oh, so many people do that when they play, like, Mario Kart or any sort of racing game, like...
It wasn't Mario Kart. I think it was just, like... Because Mario Kart didn't exist on the Super Nintendo. Yeah. I think it was, like, regular Mario. She would just turn it, and I'm like, Mom!
Yeah.
It was funny. Or maybe... I don't remember. It was just funny. And that just reminded me of that. Sorry. Gotcha.
Yeah. No, you're good. But yeah, later studies by other psychologists failed to replicate Skinner's results and disputed Skinner's superstition explanation for the behaviors he recorded. Instead, it appeared that the behavior of his pigeons could be accounted for by the natural foraging behaviors of the species he used as test subjects. So, like, basically he thought that these birds were noticing a pattern of like, if I flap my wings, it makes the cage open and then I can eat food. And so they would like continuously flap their wings and blah, blah, blah. And that this was becoming like a ritualistic, like superstitious behavior of the birds. But they're pigeons. Like, you can't make that connection with a pigeon, much less then relate that connection to humans in that way.
Yeah.
And so it was just, it's a weird, like, I don't see how you can draw that conclusion from this study, because you can't. So.
Yeah, I don't know that pigeons are that capable.
No.
No offense, pigeons.
But they're not.
No
like,
offense to that
at the
cat
end of the
pigeon
day.
that Shannon sent the TikTok about.
Yeah. Yeah, like.
That got its head stuck in a can.
So cute. But yeah, like at the end of the day, a pigeon is a pigeon. Like, we know that dogs and cats and like certain animals have like higher levels of intelligence. Therefore, we know that pigeons do not. So, yeah. Anyway.
Unless it's like homing pigeons. Those things are like scary smart.
Yeah, but like that's a different
like, breed, basically. Yeah, they are. They are now. But yeah, they were completely different. They functioned differently than
he was
normal
basically using doves.
rat pigeons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and just like I get why with like medical studies they'll use like mice cells or like pig cells or whatever because they function like similarly enough to ours.
Yeah, and like
but you can't do that with behavior.
Stuff on a cellular level is different than like brain function.
Yeah, you just can't do that with behavior.
And even with like
So
Pavlov, like yes, he did it with a dog, but it has also been proven in humans. So
yeah.
But anyway, I just thought it was interesting because it's part, if you just look up like superstitions, like this study comes up because it's like the superstitious pigeon study, and I'm just like, but they're pigeons. Like, crows are fucking smart. Pigeons, not so much.
Oh my god, they're so smart.
So
Yeah.
Can pigeons talk?
Right.
No.
But yeah, anyway, so moving on to actual superstitions and where they came from. Slide 4.
Okay.
So this is going to be the number 13 / Friday the 13th, mostly the number 13. So this particular superstition can be traced back, it's one of those that has like multiple origins that it could have. So one of them, it can be traced back to a Norse myth where 12 gods gathered for a dinner party in Valhalla, and then Loki showed up uninvited as the 13th guest, and while at this dinner party he tricked Hodor, the blind god of darkness, into shooting Balder the beautiful, who is the god of joy and gladness, and because he shot him, the world was plunged into chaos. And therefore 13 is unlucky. The number 13 was also considered bad luck in ancient Rome, as witches were believed to gather in groups of 12, and the 13th member of like the coven was believed to be the devil. And then in Christianity, Judas Iscariot, who was the disciple that betrayed Jesus, he was the 13th guest at the Last Supper. So basically, a lot of it has to do with being like the 13th guest or 13th member in like multiple different like religions and mythologies. That 13th person usually causes some sort of misfortune or discord. Things like that. The Friday the 13th, the Friday part of it, I don't necessarily know that this is true, but apparently Friday also has a negative biblical connotation, because it is supposedly the day that Jesus was
Good
crucified,
Friday.
the day that Eve tempted Adam with the forbidden fruit, and the day that Cain killed Abel. And Shannon, when I was doing my notes and I said that sentence sounds like very victim blamey, the day Eve tempted Adam with forbidden fruit was the one I was talking about. because I'm pretty sure Adam had some own self-agency there, but it's fine. But
I find
also
okay,
we
hang on.
didn't have this calendar in biblical times, so like how could it have been Friday?
That was my question. Are you really trying to tell me that in the garden that Adam and Eve were in, they had the concept of a weekday?
They did not.
Like,
no.
I didn't
Well,
think that
it might
they
not
did.
have been called Friday, but maybe it was like the 5th day, you know what I mean? Or like what
Yeah,
however you count
but
it.
still, like,
Even if being the
No, I
fifth
know what you're
day
saying.
is,
in
like-
Genesis doesn't say what day it was.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
I agree. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
no, I understand what you're saying,
I'm-
and like to
I'm
provide
playing
a
devil's snake boy pomegranate advocate.
yes, but yeah. So and like we don't know what day Cain killed Abel, so like at least in the versions of the Bible that I have read, nowhere is that mentioned. I'm not saying it doesn't exist in some version of the Bible out there, some translation, but yeah. Possibly on the day Jesus was crucified. I can't recall at the moment, but I don't believe so. But
Wait, what?
the day Jesus was crucified, it's saying it was a Friday, but
Well, it's always celebrated on Good Friday.
yeah. So maybe that's why, but I don't know. But regardless, I think it's just Friday the 13th because it's the 13th. I'm not sure that Friday in and of itself has any sort of like negative, but
Yeah.
supposedly it might. I never heard that growing up in church, not to say it, again, isn't in some translations of the Bible or in some religions or whatever. So, slide 5. Black cats. Let's talk about black cats because they're freaking adorable. So the superstition of black cats is that they are unlucky, or if one crosses your path, some sort of misfortune will befall you, anything like that. So most superstitions, at least in like Western culture, like the United States, tend to revolve around like good or bad luck. But the one with black cats, it is again linked to religion most often. Again, multiple different origins. So the Egyptian goddess Bast took the form of a black cat, and as Christians wanted to like wipe out all other religions and, you know, colonialism and all that fun stuff, they created the idea that black cats were secretly demons in disguise, and that if a black cat crossed your path, it was believed to cut you off from the entrance of heaven. So that was kind of like in retaliation to Egyptian like mythology and religion. And then also in the Middle Ages...
Man.
What?
I said man, and then I stopped because you were talking, but I'll just keep going. I would have been, like, hanged as a witch so many times because I would be
Oh,
like,
for
I think
sure.
I want a baby.
Right? I would have been like, but it's so
The
cute.
picture that Shelby has of this black cat is so cute. It looks like
I
a little
know.
baby bat.
Yes.
It's so...
I was like,
I
maybe I should go
co-parented
for
a
a
black cat
fierce
for
black
quite a
cat.
while.
And then it's like, no, but this picture's so cute. So,
But it's just a baby.
you know.
Allie's cat that died a couple months ago was a black
He
cat.
was.
Yeah.
And he was the
Rest in
nicest
peace.
cat
I know.
I have
He
ever
was so
met.
nice and so sweet and so scared of everything.
I
Yeah.
don't think I ever saw Sunny in the flesh.
Sunny
Yeah,
loved
no,
me.
he was terrified of all humans, except Allie and Shelby. Me and my mom, terrified. Would not go near us.
He loved me. He
For
let
no
me pick
reason
him up all the
whatsoever.
time. And he
Yeah.
would come sleep with me when I slept over at your house in middle school.
Yeah, but he never, he never bit anybody. He never swatted at anybody. Like, he just would just run away and hide.
Yeah, he was so sweet.
Yeah. He's a sweet little
He
cat.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then also in the Middle Ages, Europeans associated black cats with the devil, and the association was so widely believed that people thought the cats were the cause of the Black Death, which people had a lot of thoughts about the Black Death, and 99.9% of them were wrong at the time.
Yeah, Yeah, they didn't know what bacteria was, so
Yeah,
I
and,
can't
like,
really blame them for
again,
that.
not of any really fault of their own at the time. It's the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
We don't understand science yet, but
We have people now who are still utterly convinced that COVID is not actually happening.
yeah,
So, like,
I can't.
really can't fault them for not
Yeah.
understanding what a bacteria was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and so,
Yeah.
and because it was, the Black Death, and black cats are evil, and the devil's child, or whatever, like, yeah. So,
Yeah.
also, like, cats carried fleas, and fleas were the actual cause, so, like, I get it. But yeah, so because they thought that the Black Death was caused by black cats, they tried to fully exterminate black cats. And then later in the 16th century, hysteria over witchcraft was at an all-time high. And by then the belief that black cats were associated with the devil, like, made a comeback. But they added in the feature of them being familiars of witches who had made a pact with the devil. So again, they tried to get rid of all of them because they basically thought it was like an extension of a witch or the devil himself. And yeah, basically it was like if you saw a black cat, it was because the devil was keeping an eye on you. And I mean, there's a lot of beliefs in like multiple cultures, both about cats, like both good and bad. Like in ancient Egypt, they like revered cats as like gods basically, or like symbols of the gods. And then there's the omens of bad luck and things like that. And I don't really know why it is about what it is about cats. I do know that
It was good luck to have a cat on board a ship.
yeah.
I don't know why,
yeah,
but it
and
was.
I don't know. Cats are cool, and I love them.
Wait, good luck or bad
Good
luck?
luck
Good luck.
on a ship.
Yeah, because they ate all the
Yeah,
rats.
and so like your food wouldn't go bad, and stuff like that. But
Yeah. But,
yeah,
I mean, like, even now, like, black cats are, like, the hardest to adopt at a shelter. Like,
yeah,
to
because
get
people
adopted
just
out of
have like a
shelters.
negative connotation, and
yeah. And then I saw something that may or may not be true, that a lot of people nowadays don't want to adopt, like, darker colored animals because they don't show up as well in pictures.
yeah,
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
which it
I'm
is
sure it's true
impossible to
because-
take a picture of Maisie
Yeah.
May,
It
People are
is.
so
but
shallow.
she's so fucking
I know.
adorable. I can't help it.
Maisie is so cute.
I just have a
but she
bunch
is
of,
black
like,
and
black
brown and
voids.
blends into everything. Yeah, she's a void.
I have so many pictures of her on my phone, and it's literally just a void. But it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Her energy is there. You just can't
Right?
see her.
But yeah.
Ugh, Maisie May.
And then you have cats, which are, the only domesticated animal that's not actually domesticated. Because they cohabitate.
Yeah, tell that to the feral fucking raccoon that lives in my house.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
She's part highway goblin though.
She
so
is.
like
She is. She's the little baby highway goblin.
And Yuki is the spawn of Satan.
Yeah, we're talking about you.
yeah.
Peppa is the...
I like how
Peppa's Satan
I've seen
himself, and Yuki is the spawn.
Yeah.
Because...
I saw this thing on the internet like a super long time ago that like cats were worshipped in Egypt and they never forgot it ever.
Right? Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah, like, I've read a
it
study
explains
that, like...
so much of their behavior.
that cats literally, they're not domesticated. They have
No, they're not.
adapted to cohabitate with humans, but they are not domesticated. Like, an individual cat can be, but overall as a species, they are not. Like, cows are fully domesticated. And, like, sheep.
Dogs are literally...
Yeah. Like, people are like, your dog is a
They're dogs,
wolf
they're
at
dogs.
heart. And I'm like, my dog is not. Have you met Gypsy?
No, your
Like-
dogs. Tucker is a pretty princess.
Right?
Like,
Like, Tucker is the prettiest little princess you have ever met in your life, and Gypsy is a
Maisie
loaf.
is afraid of
We'll walk
plastic
on the
bags.
hardwood floor.
Right? So, like, there's nothing...
Like, Maisie is afraid of plastic bags. Like, she is
Right?
not.
Maisie is afraid of our kitchen for no reason.
She won't go in the kitchen. She won't go near my desk.
So, like...
Yeah,
The
wolf,
thought of her being aggressive or defending anything is just hysterical to
Right.
me. Because,
Like-
She's such a baby.
Yeah. So, like, millions of years ago, my dog had an ancestor that happened to be a wolf, but there is none of that left.
Yeah. Nowadays?
My cat
and then,
fully
we were
thinks that
FaceTiming-
she is a tiger, okay?
Yeah. And then, we were FaceTiming Allie yesterday to see her puppy again. He, is trying to eat the name tags off of his collar because he doesn't understand why they're there. And so he's just, spinning around in circles, walking backward, doing somersaults, trying to eat his dog tags. And I'm like, you're not a wolf, babe.
Right. Yeah. So,
oh, man.
yeah.
Okay, we need to move on.
Yes.
Else we're just going to keep talking about our pets.
As if we don't already do that constantly. Okay, slide 6. Let's go. Throwing salt over your shoulder. So,
2 days ago I did that, but I couldn't find where I spilled the salt, so I just kind of waved my hand over my shoulder, and I was like, hope that works.
It's fine. Whatever works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the devil didn't come for you, so.
Yeah.
Yet.
Right.
Oh my god, the devil's calling from inside my house. It was Peppa the whole time!
So my notes on this one might be a little all over the place because it came from 3 or 4 different websites, and so some of it might be repeated, so sorry about that, but whatever. So salt has developed a reputation for being a purifying substance that drives away evil. So if you think about Shannon, you've seen Supernatural, Hannah, have you?
Mm-hmm.
And making a salt circle to keep out demons, things like that. I guess you don't have to see Supernatural to know that, but that's a common thing. I don't know why that was my first thought.
That's a very big plot point in Hocus Pocus as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Any devil movie, there's salt involved.
Right, if there's witches, demons, devils, you make a salt circle to keep them out, or across any threshold you'll pour salt.
They've done that on at least one episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yeah, they did it on the Goatman Bridge.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know if they ever did it on Buffy.
Shannon,
you're the Buffy expert.
No, they didn't do, no.
Okay.
Ghosts were a big thing in Buffy.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it has this reputation, which is most likely because there's a high social and monetary value placed on salt. So Roman soldiers were part of their pay was in salt, or they were given a supplementary fund in order to buy salt. And yeah, it's also been used throughout history in multiple different cultures in rituals in order to purify items. And then, throwing salt over your left shoulder began with the idea of driving away evil spirits that waited there, because spilling salt was believed to be a bad omen. As for why spilling salt is a bad omen, there's a couple different theories. Probably the most likely theory is because salt was super valuable. So it was considered unlucky if you spilled it because you just wasted all that money, essentially. Things like that. And then the practice of throwing the salt over your shoulder, again, multiple different origins, but it was most likely started by the ancient Sumerians around 3500 BC, or at least that's one of the origins. There, again, could be multiple origins, but they started doing that in order to nullify the bad luck that was caused by spilling the salt. And then the ritual eventually made its way to the Egyptians, Assyrians, and later to the Greeks, and then probably around to other people after that. Another theory as to, it's not necessarily a theory as to why spilling salt is bad, it's just a reason for how that belief spread, at least in European or Christian countries, is because in Da Vinci's painting of the Last Supper, If you look closely at it, you can see that next to Judas is a container of salt that's been tipped over and is spilling onto the table. And so, because spilling salt was seen as a bad omen, people started to associate it with like Judas, and then also with betrayal and death and things like that. And so there's the like origin of it just being because of like the monetary value that was on salt, but then also it started to have like a religious context to it. And so yeah, I don't know. But then there's also, for throwing the salt, it supposedly like blinds the devil or any demons that are lurking behind you. And then there's one particular demon in the UK, basically, called Old Scratch, that resided over your left shoulder, and he was basically just always there waiting for an opportunity to tempt you. And so that's why you throw the salt over your left shoulder.
Plus left is just bad.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why.
Yeah, and so it's...
Yeah.
This is one of those that, like...
Because isn't the like, Latin name for left sinister?
I think... Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just know my grandma, when she was younger... I mean, she's dead. But when she was, like...
When she was not dead and a child.
Yeah, when she was not dead and a child, she was a lefty, and she went to Catholic school, and the nuns would not let her write
because
with
it's
her
a sign of the
her
devil.
left hand. Yeah, they would.
It is sinister.
Yeah, because
they would swat her with a ruler.
Sinister and Dextera or something like that.
Dexter and Sinister, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. And then my mom is also a lefty, but she did not go to Catholic school because by the time she was born, her family had no money.
Yeah.
So she was the only one who went to public school, and the nuns did not try to make her write with her right hand.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And that's not just like a Catholic school thing. A lot of people in society in general were made to
That's
be...
just the only frame of reference.
Oh yeah, it was definitely like more prevalent in like religious communities, but for sure, for a long time, it was definitely like a societal thing. Which, again, society back then was a lot more religious. Just in general. And then this is just kind of a side note to kind of like show how how valuable salt actually was. It still is very valuable, but we have more ways to get it now, basically. But it was so prized that the word salary actually has its etymological roots in the history of salt.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because the word salary comes from the word salarium, which was what they called salt money, which is what the Roman soldiers were paid with. So it was the special allowance that Roman soldiers were given for their salt rations.
Oh my god, my brain is exploding.
Yeah, so the money they were given for their salt rations was called salarium, and so the word salary comes from that, which is you are being paid in salt. Haha. That is also the origin of the phrase "not worth his salt," because Roman soldiers would say that in regards to tasks that they thought were not worth the extra money that they would receive or their salt rations. So, fun little
I said to you earlier today that most of this episode was just going to be us going, oh, that's cool. And so far that seems to have been
right.
true.
Like the entire time I was doing my notes, I was like, oh, that's neat. Oh, that's where that came from.
Yeah.
Oh, humans are so funny. Okay. Yeah, that's enough about salt. There's also a very good book called Salt about the history of salt. I would recommend it. I forget who the author is, but
Couldn't tell you.
All I know is that it's very good. It's literally just called Salt. So, it's a good book, though. It's one of those that's, like, it's a historical, like, nonfiction book, but it's also, like, written in a way that keeps your interest. So it's not so, like, dry, like, the salt came across the ocean, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's written...
From...
Right, yeah, it's written in a way that is...
The ocean.
Like... I don't know. But it's very good. Highly recommend. Okay. Slide 7. Cracked mirrors causing bad luck. That is what we're going to talk about on this one. So again, many theories on where this superstition came from. One idea is that when mirrors were first created, they were so expensive that if you were to break someone's mirror, you'd have to serve 7 years as their servant to pay the cost back. Which, okay.
Which society was
I
that
don't
in?
know.
Okay.
Yeah, that one I was like, I have never heard that before, and that seems not true, so I don't...
Was that, like, court ordered? Was it just on the honor system? Like, how did that
Right,
work?
there's a lot of...
Maybe it was
loopholes on that
like
one.
for the working man in this time, this is what their salary was, and it would take this much
Right, yeah, I don't...
time to and money to
Yeah,
repay.
I don't really know.
Yeah.
Or if it was,
Okay.
like, a thing between, like, the aristocracy and the working class, and, like, if your maid breaks your mirror, it's gonna take 7 years on her penny a day to, you know...
That seems much more likely than you broke my mirror, now you have to work for me without pay for 7
Yeah.
years. Like, that doesn't...
Now you're my slave for
Yeah.
7 years.
That doesn't
Yeah,
make sense.
so I don't necessarily know, but I mean, I could see
Yeah.
it being a thing just with how I know society worked.
Mirrors were fucking expensive.
They were so
You know,
expensive.
like, I'm sure that
back
they
in the
did
day.
cost I'm sure that they did cost the salary of, someone's salary for 7
Yeah,
years. I
but-
could see that. But, like, you broke my stuff. Now you have to work for me for free for X amount of time. Like, that's not how that
Right.
works. That's never been how anything has worked.
Yeah, so
There's a story by Guy, and okay, wait, I don't know French, so please forgive me. Guy de Maupassant.
Maupassant.
Called The Necklace. Yeah. It's a very similar
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Necklace. It's very
Yes.
good.
I have one of my like leather bound books is by him. It's like a collection of his works. But yeah. And then there's also like a more spiritual root for this superstition in the idea that the mirror is a representation of a person's inner soul. So breaking one would damage your soul. And that is actually kind of like a commonly held belief in multiple different cultures. The same with like photographs in like more modern times. I know like in Japan, like it used to be like during, I want to say it was like the Meiji period, Meiji era, like when cameras were first like coming on the scene and like making their way to Japan and stuff, that like people thought that if someone took a picture of you, it like captured your soul in the picture. And so they were like scared of having the picture taken. But it's also like pretty common for people thought that like a part of your soul or like your inner soul was like captured in a mirror. And like in ancient Greece, it was common for people to consult like mirror seers, who were essentially fortune tellers, but they would interpret a person's reflection in a mirror. So the mirror would be dipped into water, or like have water poured on top of it. And then a sick person was asked to look into the glass, and if the image was distorted, the person was like predicted to die or remain like severely ill. But if the image was clear, they would live and get better.
Wouldn't the picture be just distorted because there's water on a
Also,
mirror?
have you ever seen an old-timey mirror? Like,
Yeah,
that
those
shit's
things
not
aren't,
clear.
Like, flat.
So, yeah, I don't... I mean, you would assume, but I don't know what their definition of distorted and clear is. So...
Yeah.
And also, like, did somebody bump the table and therefore the mirror is distorted? Like, you put water on it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so it is what it is. But the idea of getting like 7 years bad luck if you break a mirror originates from ancient Rome. And basically the Romans like added that part to the superstition because they had a belief that a person's health rotated in like 7-year cycles. And so basically it was like every 7 years a person's body would be like physically rejuvenated. And they were one of the like cultures that had the belief that mirrors held a fragment of a person's soul, and so a distorted image in a mirror would result in 7 years of ill health and misfortune until your like rejuvenation cycle restarted. So that's where the like 7 years bad luck comes from.
Okay.
And then the Romans also...
If I had 7 years of bad luck every time I looked fucked up in a mirror...
Right? I'd be like, oh, okay, let me just cover all the mirrors in the world, it's fine. And also, like, does that count for any reflection, or just a mirror specifically? Again, what's your definition of a mirror? Because, like, I saw my reflection in the window at the store today, but, like... So...
When I look into my coffee mug in the morning...
Right.
What does it mean?
Yeah. But we don't get that deep with our superstitious beliefs as humans. So, the Romans also believed that if you gathered all the pieces of the broken mirror and buried them by moonlight, then you could prevent the 7 years of misfortune. So, there is a way out of it, I suppose.
And then... Never mind. I don't know.
Okay.
And then you have to be your own indentured slave for...
Yes. To make enough money to make up for your expensive mirror.
How dare you bury your own mirror in your own yard? You better work for yourself for something.
Right.
Okay, I don't know. Goodbye.
Okay, slide 8. Rabbit's feet bringing good luck. So this one can be traced back to like 600 BCE. And basically it's rooted in the ancient belief of totemism. And the spirit, that's basically like the spiritual connection between animals and humans. Because it was like ancient, like Celtic tribes that basically started this one. So in like one instance, it was like if the tribe believed that they were like descended from rabbits, then they would carry around parts of a rabbit's body, and particularly the feet. But also, rabbits are symbols of fertility and abundance because rabbits are very fertile little animals. They have lots of little babies, and therefore they are also like a symbol of like a bountiful harvest and good fortune and things like that.
I have a question that you probably don't know the answer to. Like, rats and mice are also extremely fertile, so why did we pick rabbits?
Because they're cute.
Because they're cuter?
Okay. That's fair.
I don't know. Because they're fluffy little... No, it's actually probably... one, how do you carry around like a little mouse foot? But two, it's also because the back foot of a rabbit, the back leg was considered lucky because the back feet hit the ground before the front feet. And therefore the hind foot of a rabbit supplies more good luck to the bearer. Also, the back foot of a rabbit is a phallic symbol.
Oh my god.
Great.
Which goes along with it being a symbol of fertility. And
okay.
that might also be a reason why they chose rabbits, because their feet happen to look phallic. I don't know. I don't know anything.
Hey, your foot looks like a pee-pee.
Right? But also Celtic tribes believed that rabbits could speak with underground gods and spirits thanks to their burrows. So that's another reason why they would carry.
Pretty rad.
It is. But yeah, so I don't know why they chose rabbits over anything else, but want to know a fun fact about rabbits?
Well, real quick, I'm wondering too if it's because they also like would eat rabbit meat and, like, use the pelts for stuff, but with rats and mice, that, like, wasn't the case, really?
Yeah, so it
I'm
could just
wondering
be
if it
them
was just
finding another
let's-
use for this other part of the animal.
Yeah.
As a way
That might be
to,
part of it, too.
like, yeah, I don't necessarily know. And, like, I don't know much about, like, Celtic gods, besides the ones that have, like, made it into modern society. So, like, I don't know if there was, like, a god of rabbits.
I don't know.
What were you gonna say, Hannah?
Did you guys ever see the movie The Brothers Grimm?
Yes.
No.
You know that part where that girl, like, rips the flesh off a rabbit?
Yes.
She's like, she just killed it hunting.
Yeah.
That really fucked me up as a kid.
I still can't watch that part because it freaks me out. I
There's
get it,
just,
and
like,
it's
a
totally
naked
fine, but I can't do it.
muscle rabbit.
Yeah. It is a fully formed
Just
rabbit without fur.
Gave myself. I hate it. Thanks, I hate it.
Yes.
But she just stands there and is like talking to this guy and just
Yeah, because she's
gross
like
noises,
skinning
and then
it to cook it, to eat it, but like,
yeah, but it's like really
like,
fucking gross.
did we have to put that so vividly in the movie?
Also, spiders came out of that horse's mouth and ate that girl, so I can't handle
Right?
it.
Yeah. Also that.
I don't fucking trust horses. I don't trust rabbits.
There is just because you mentioned spiders, and in my research for this, it came up. I don't have it in my slides, but there is a superstition in Japan that if you see a spider in the morning, it is good luck. But if you see a spider at night, it is bad luck, and you should kill it.
All right.
I hate that. I don't.
It's because there is a connection between like spiders and like the like their version of heaven.
Oh.
They're like a connection between like earth and heaven. For whatever reason.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah. So that's rabbits. What I was gonna say about rabbits is that my mom's maiden name is Hossie because her family came from the von Haas region in Germany. And Haas is the German word for rabbit. And it's because our family were rabbit farmers in Germany.
Cool.
So, yep. So that's all I know. Okay. Slide 9. This is going to be walking under a ladder brings bad luck. Again, like I said, most of these have to do with bad or good luck. Or just like misfortune and getting rid of the misfortune. So the idea that walking under a ladder causes bad luck, it comes from the importance of the number 3 in multiple cultures and religions. So in Christianity, there's the doctrine of the Trinity, which is the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And that is a core belief within Christianity. And therefore, the Trinity, or which is represented as a triangle, is considered sacred. And when a ladder is leaning against a wall, it forms a triangle. And if you were to walk underneath the ladder, it breaks the triangle, thus breaking the Trinity, which is considered blasphemous. Yeah.
That seems like a bit of a stretch.
Right, yeah.
I don't think that the Holy Trinity exists in every triangle in existence.
Right, yeah. This is the
There
one...
are some bad triangles.
There are. This is the one where I was like, guys, maybe we're reading a little too much into this.
Yeah, that just
This
seems
is
like a bit
couple
much.
of like really zealot people got together, got
Yeah.
drunk, and were like, and then, oh my god, have you even thought about triangles? Like, oh my god.
Well, it actually like gets a little worse because like at one point in history, it was like it like spread throughout Christianity that ladders were associated with wickedness, betrayal, and death because there had been a ladder that rested against the cross where Jesus was crucified. And therefore, walking under a ladder would court misfortune. And like, why? Why are we thinking that, friends?
There's probably like a tree nearby. Does that mean the trees are bad? Like,
Right,
I don't
like
understand.
it was literally like we know for a fact that the like the cross was on a hill. Are hills bad? Like,
Yeah.
we don't know for a fact that there was a ladder there, we assume, because the dude, like, stuck him with a spear, but, like, you don't know that. Also, like, the number 3, there were 3 crosses, so isn't that a bad thing as well? Like,
should we not be using nails ever? Are nails bad?
Right, like...
Nails aren't bad.
The cross is a symbol of, like, good things, but he died on a cross, so wouldn't that be bad? But, like... Yeah, it's like you can find meaning in anything if you are trying hard enough, but, like...
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
But, yeah. Yeah, this is one where I'm like, I'm not really tracking the logic here, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's unsafe to walk under a ladder because if someone is on top of it, they might drop shit on top of you on accident. But,
well,
you know,
I mean, yeah,
that's
there's
different.
that. Okay, and then
practically.
One of the other, like, origins is that in ancient Egypt, the Egyptians regarded the triangle as a sacred shape, which is evidenced by the pyramids, supposedly. Never mind the fact that, like, that's just an easy shape to make and build, but and to pass under a ladder broke the triangle and desecrated the sacred nature of it. And apparently Egyptians also thought that you might accidentally see a god going up or down the ladder, and therefore they just avoided them in general. But also they used them, so that's not true.
Yeah. The first part of that is the exact same thing as the Christianity one,
exactly.
just with Egyptians. It's the same thing.
Yeah. And, like, just because they built pyramids doesn't necessarily mean that, like, a triangle is a sacred shape to them. Like,
plus, a pyramid and a triangle are different shapes.
They are. And, like, are triangles evidenced in other parts of, like, Egyptian culture? Not to my knowledge, but...
Not really.
And, like, you don't really see it, like, in their mythology. Again, not to my knowledge. So, like, I don't necessarily buy that one. And then my last note is that, like, walking under a ladder is just plain dangerous. Like, the ladder could fall. If someone's up there, something could fall on you. Like, just in general, it is dangerous. So maybe don't do it. And maybe that's why we don't like them. And why you shouldn't walk under them. And then we just turned it into a bad luck thing.
Yeah.
So...
Because you knock it, you, like, bump it a little bit, and then some paint falls on your head, and then you have a concussion, and also you're covered in paint, and also now you have to work for the painter for 7 years.
And throw some salt over your shoulder. And, yeah, it's just a whole hot mess. So, like...
Yeah.
Just don't walk under a ladder, friends. It's dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Slide 10. This one's for Shannon.
That's the same thing. Wait. That just made me think of something. Because it is related, and it's a superstition in like, theater life, and ballet specifically, because that's where I know it from. But when I was in ballet, I used to get in trouble all the time because I really like to whistle.
Oh, yeah.
And it's bad luck to whistle in a theater.
It is, yeah.
Because back in the day, you would whistle to, like, tell the guy up top to drop the sandbags or the ropes or the whatever to, like, move the curtains and the props and the whatever. And so if you whistled in a theater when you're not supposed to, it could drop and land on your head and kill you, blah, blah, blah. So I always used to get in trouble for whistling because you're not supposed to do that. And then also something similar to that is, like, my dance teacher would always tell me, you're gonna burn in your bed because of the whistling, and I don't really know what that's about, but anyway, that's
that's a little
I don't know, it's related.
intense.
It's like back when everything was lit with, like, candles and shit.
with, like, the gas lights
I don't know.
at theaters.
I don't understand what whistling has to do with that, but okay.
I don't know.
Okay, whatever.
But that's what she always used to tell me, you're gonna burn in your bed. It's like, okay,
It's a little traumatizing for a child, but it's fine.
Sure.
Trying to dance the freaking Nutcracker.
Right?
For the 50th time.
800th time.
I'm just trying not to be naked in front of these Girl Scouts.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Oh my goodness. Okay, slide 10. Again, this one is for Shannon. So this is why women on ships were thought to bring bad luck. So... It is fucking stupid. Women were said to bring bad luck on board ships because they were a distraction to their sailors, and therefore they could not perform their sea duties. And this kind of behavior would anger the intemperate seas that would take their revenge out on the ship. And
So because men couldn't control themselves, women couldn't be there at all. Gee, that sounds so fucking familiar.
Except the really fucking stupid part of it is that topless women on a ship were considered good luck.
Yeah.
Because the naked women, quote unquote, calmed the sea. And that's why a lot of ships have a figure of a topless woman perched on the bow of the ship. Because her bare breasts shamed the stormy seas into being calm. And her open eyes guided the seamen to safety.
Okay. So, clothed women, too much of a distraction, will anger the ocean. Naked woman, not a distraction for the men at all. Happy ocean.
Yeah.
That doesn't...
Yep.
Is the ocean just a perv who wants to hang out at a strip club all day? Like, that's not how it works, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So fucking stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, my computer's dying. Let's plug that in before it actually does die.
And it's stupid because even though women were, like, thought to be bad luck on boats, it was also, like, a well-known fact amongst, like, sailors that women were excellent navigators.
Yeah.
So, like...
Oh my god, it's that trope.
Yeah, like...
Men never suffer ask for directions.
Men can't ask for directions.
Yeah. And so it's just like, well, and it makes sense because men not require, but, like, if you think about it, like, when men give directions on a whole, of course, this is a generalization, but on a whole, and it has been proven with science, like, when men give directions, they are more likely to give, like, street names or directions like east, west, things like that, whereas women go by landmarks. And when you're on the fucking ocean, all you've got are landmarks or the sky. So, like...
No, you have east-west if you have the sun.
Yes, but...
Yeah.
Yes, but you don't have, like, definitive anything besides that.
Yeah.
And the way that, like, the brain works between, like... I don't know. It makes sense. But... based off the schooling that I've had on how the brain differentiates between men and women, statistically.
See, I use street names because to me that's easier.
Nope.
Because I just remember where streets are.
Nope.
And I don't remember where landmarks are, unless I know where the street is.
Nope. Can't do it.
That's just how I...
Well, yeah, and again, like, it's not person... Like, again, that's, like, the studies are a generalization over, like, a group. But, yeah.
No, I know I'm an outlier here. And it's not like I don't instinctively know which way is, like, which, unless the sun is out, or if I, like, remember if I've been there for a while.
Yeah.
You know? But, like, in Chicago, I know I mentioned it before, live in Chicago for, like, a month, you'll just know where the lake is, and that is always east. And so then you just, like, orient yourself based around that.
Yeah.
So that's just what I did for 3
my dad
years.
gives directions. He'll be like, you're going to go 6 miles, and then along the way, you're going to see this place and this place and this place and this place, and pass this street and go past this light, and then you're going to turn. And I'm like, what was with all that unnecessary information?
Many directions. That's too much information.
Also, like...
just give me the street I need to
right,
turn on.
like, that's too much. But anyway...
too much info.
There is, like, one incident in the Middle Ages where this superstition was, like, basically proven false, but people didn't care. And it was basically that a ship it was, like, out at sea and had several female passengers on board, and they hit a terrible storm, and the crew, remembering that women were bad luck, began throwing all of the female passengers overboard.
Holy fuck!
Yeah, so more than 60 women drowned in the men's attempt to appease the sea gods, but it didn't fucking matter because most of the crew perished anyway.
Yeah, because that's not how any of that works.
No, because, like, it's fucking stupid. So, anyway, that's just, just stupid. Okay, slide 11. This one is, as far as I can tell, like, specific to Japan. But I thought it was interesting, so I included it. But basically, this one has to do with the pronunciation of the word for thumb in Japanese. Which, why didn't I include that? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But Shane and I were talking about this earlier, but like in Japanese, like the word for four is pronounced the same as the word for death, and that's why like four in Japan and China is considered like an unlucky number, whereas like in America it's the number 13. But in Japanese, the word for thumb is, it like basically translates to the parent finger. So
Okay.
your thumb is associated with like parental figures essentially. And so if you visit a grave, or like if a hearse was to drive by you, they will tuck their thumbs into their palm and like make a fist around it, in order basically to protect their parents. So like if they are in a cemetery or like walking through it, they will tuck their thumbs in because it will keep their parents from death. So I don't know. But yeah, it has to do with the fact that like your thumb is like the parent finger. So
I know people who, when they drive by a cemetery, they hold their breath so that the ghosts don't like possess
yeah,
them.
I mean like anytime I go over a bridge, I
concept.
hold my breath. If I drive under a tunnel, I like put my hand on the roof of the car to hold it up. It's just like yeah.
Same concept.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Just the fact of it being like the parent finger and like protecting your parents from death, that is the part that it's like Japan specific. So like but yeah.
Real quick, Hannah, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
I'm just thinking about how we're like the apex predator, but also we're so smart that we've run out of enemies to have, so we're just enemies to our own brain. So now we have to hold our breath when we go past cemeteries.
Right.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I know.
Yes. Okay, slide 12. I only have a few more left. Okay, so this one is why you shouldn't open an umbrella indoors. This one, again, two different possible origins. One is in ancient Egypt. A lot of superstitions either come from like Europe, well, and it might just be the ones that I am looking at, but a lot of the ones that we have in like America come from either ancient Egypt or like Christianity, essentially. But basically, in ancient Egypt, umbrellas were only for the nobility or royalty. They were fashioned out of papyrus and peacock feathers and designed in the likeness of the Egyptian goddess of the sky. And the shade from an umbrella was therefore considered sacred and therefore only for the nobility or royalty. So anyone else who dared to step into the shadowy space was considered sacrilegious. And if you opened an umbrella indoors, it went against its natural purpose and could consequently be considered an insult to the god of the sun, according to some historians.
That one actually makes sense. Like, yeah, that's like the only one so far that I'm like, okay, I get where they're coming from with that. Like, that makes sense.
The other possible origin is comes from Victorian England, and it is basically because umbrellas were like metal spoked, and when they first started becoming like common on rainy days, they were stiff and had like a really clumsy spring mechanism, and so opening them in a small room would seriously injure someone or shatter objects. And it was like actually causing like a lot of fights amongst families and stuff like that. And so people supposedly came up with the superstition as a deterrent to opening an umbrella indoors to keep like fights from breaking out amongst family and friends.
That also makes sense.
Yeah, and that is
get
very
it.
reminiscent of like Hansel and Gretel, so your kids don't go in the woods sort of thing. Of
Yeah.
like, you'll have bad luck if you open an umbrella indoors, so don't open an umbrella indoors.
But
sort
really,
of
it's
thing.
just because I don't want you to poke out my eye with an umbrella.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, it has to do with the fact that, like, I mean, even today, but like back in the day, they were super stiff. Like, the spring mechanism wasn't quite, like, great or anything like
Yeah.
that. So, like, the chances of hurting someone or breaking something were, like, really high. So, again,
Yeah.
I get it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Slide 13. This is why we
Yeesh.
knock on wood, which I do this constantly. So,
Oh my gosh.
um,
If you say the Q word at school, quiet,
Ah.
like it's
Yeah.
quiet in here,
Uh-huh.
people will dive to the nearest wooden surface.
Oh no, that's a huge thing. Like in service jobs, never say that it's quiet. Ever.
Oh, yeah,
Because
don't.
it won't be anymore.
yeah.
You want to die?
Yeah.
You want three
Like-
kids to have bloody noses and
Yeah.
also, like,
I mean-
a lockdown and a fire drill and it's snowing and there's, like, a cat
Yeah.
loose for some reason?
Yeah, never say
Right.
that.
I mean, like in retail, you never say that it's like a slow day or
Yeah.
anything like that. Like, no.
Yeah. That's like the only superstition kind of thing that I really like adhere to is never say things are too quiet because they won't be in about an hour and then you want to die.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, knocking on wood.
Oh, sorry, my brain died. Okay, so knocking on wood. This one, there's a lot of, again, as with all of these, a lot of doubt as to where specifically this comes from. Some people attribute it to the ancient religious rite of touching a crucifix when taking an oath. I don't
Okay.
know how that necessarily translates into knocking on wood, but
Because
Yeah.
it was probably made out of wood.
yeah, it was. But why did that turn into like knocking on wood as opposed to just like touching a crucifix? I guess if you like touch wood and then it just like evolved from there. I don't know. Whatever. And
I
then
guess if you just, like, touch wood.
yes. Yes. And then there's also a possible origin in that like the working class and peasants in Europe had a habit of knocking loudly in order to keep out evil spirits. So it could have come from that.
Oh yeah, knocking 3 times is supposed to like get rid of spirits and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's also a possible origin in Indo-European or Celtic beliefs where they thought that spirits, both good and bad, resided in trees who could either be called upon for protection or chased away by knocking on their home. Oh, apparently, if I read this sentence, and apparently others, particularly Christians, linked that particular practice to the magical power of the wooden crucifix. That makes
There
sense.
you go.
And then there is another theory from a 19th century British children's game called Tiggy Touchwood, in which young players claimed immunity.
Excuse me, what was it called?
Tiggy Touchwood.
Okay.
Yep. So the players would claim immunity from being tagged by touching the nearest piece of wood. And then adults picked up on the habit and the phrase, like in England, a lot of times they will still say touch wood. And it kind of just went from there. And yeah, this is one of those that like is pretty common in a lot of different like cultures, but with like variations and things like that. Like Italians will touch steel rather than wood, which could be related to like iron horseshoes, which are also considered lucky. Don't get into that one, but there is a lot of like horseshoes are lucky. And then in Poland and Russia, they will touch unpainted wood. The Turks knock twice. Latin Americans knock on wood with no legs.
Wait, what?
They will, like, knock on a piece of wood that has no legs. So, like, not a chair or a table or something like that.
Okay, thank you. I needed that to be unpacked further because I was like, wood doesn't have legs. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I was so confused. I was like, since when do trees have legs? Like, I was
Yeah. So
sorry, guys. I've had a week. Like,
yeah, so like knocking on wood or on some sort of surface or like knocking a certain number of times or something like that. Like there's a lot of different cultures and countries and whatnot that have a superstitious belief around that act. They just have like their different variations based off of their particular superstition. So that is that. And then slide 14, which is our last one, is going to be on lucky pennies. And this one originates from folk beliefs, like the idea that metal, because a lot of cultures regard certain metals as valuable and therefore sent by the gods. And so it basically comes from the idea that like copper was sent by the gods to protect those whom they favored, and pennies being made from copper, if you find one, you will have good fortune, basically. But then there's also the like, and this is a fairly modern thing, and there's not really any origin that I could find of like if you see it like tails up, it's actually bad luck and you have to flip it over and leave it for the next person. But basically the only thing that they can really tell from that is that there's like the dichotomy of like good versus evil. And pretty much everything will have a good luck versus bad luck, and that's just where they think that comes from, is they had to associate like bad luck with it somehow because good luck can't exist without bad luck, sort of thing. But yeah, it's basically that like metals were gifts from the gods and meant to protect humanity, and therefore coins, specifically pennies, had lucky properties. So
when I was in Russia and the entirety of the Russian army got on the train with us. Just kidding. It was like some unit straight out of like basic. They're all like super young. But anyway, all their parents and family and stuff threw the equivalent of pennies at them as they got onto the train. And I was like, this can't be good for the tracks, but...
Right. But yeah, it's...
But that was
because
like
it's
their good
like
luck
a sign of good luck was to throw
pennies at the train.
Throw metal onto...
Pelt the train with pennies.
Yes. And then just because it kind of amused me, I realized that I had exactly 13 different superstitions, and that's unlucky, but it's fine. So slide 15 is just my sources. I got all of my stuff from historyanswers.co.uk, or readersdigest.com, theboaterexam.com, which is where I got my stuff on women on ships. Right.
Like, what?
It was like an art. There's an arts and
funny.
culture like Google Slides thing, Insider.com, and then LiveScience.com. So there you go. That is just a smattering of superstitions. Mostly Western, but some from around the world, and where they possibly came from. Actually, no, I had 12 superstitions. Nope, I had 11. I can count, because one was B.F. Skinner, and the other one was just my, like, let me introduce superstitions slide, so...
Yeah.
Whatever, doesn't matter.
Whatever.
I had 13 content slides.
It's fine. Yeah.
Look at Skinner with his little birds.
I don't care about anything anymore. It's fine.
Birds.
Not that I don't care, but
I mean,
it could have 13 slides, it could have 4 slides, it could have 107. I do not care anymore.
it doesn't
like...
matter. It's there. Any parting thoughts? Any questions, comments, concerns?
I just keep thinking now of just like more superstitions, and now I'm like, oh, I wonder where that one came from. Oh, I wonder where that one came from.
Well, this all started because I read one, and it was about how, like, shooting stars, Ptolemy, like, had people wish on shooting stars because it was a sign that the gods were watching. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, again, that one also does make sense, considering their mythology.
Yeah.
That one does make sense. Like, that one's not a stretch to get from the mythology to the superstition, unlike the fucking ladders. Where it's like, it's a triangle and Jesus is in it. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
That I read was, like, 4-leaf clovers are considered lucky because Eve took a 4-leaf clover out of the garden when they were cast out, and therefore they are, like, still somehow related to the Garden of Good and Evil, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what?
I thought it was just because they were rare.
Well, also that.
So, like, if you found one, it was a good luck kind of thing.
Because they're little mutated freaks.
Well, yeah, because it's like a 1 in 10,000 chance of finding one or something. But
yeah, I've never found one. Like, I think it's, whatever.
Well, and usually if you find one, you'll find, like, more in the vicinity because it's, like, that particular root system is mutated. But,
yeah.
You know.
But it's more fun to find one and then be like, ooh,
right,
lucky.
exactly.
Yay, me. Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so our ending is that we have no ending. Long live the Emperor.
There we go. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thanks for listening to The Triad. Our music is by Scott Buckley. Our audio is recorded by our sound engineers, Craig Bott and Audrey Credo.
If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, YouTube, and Tumblr as The Triad Podcast.
We're also on Patreon as The Triad. Currently, all Patreon funds will go towards the cost of hosting the show. Each tier has its own rewards, but every patron receives our undying gratitude. Do you have comments, questions, or stories? Email us at thetriadpod@gmail.com. And thank you again for listening to The Triad, where we're spooky but sensitive.